Bring that around a bit. There we go. Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these. So, welcome to the channel. What are we today? We are Tuesday, the 22nd of January 2019, and this is part of the 3D printing series of videos that I started to do. I haven't done one of these for a while, so I've been busy doing 3D prints and learning a lot, and I'm at the stage now where I want to share some of that knowledge with fellow 3D printers out there that maybe just starting out, or just interested, or just looking for something to watch at night like I do when I'm in bed. So when you print something on a 3D printer, when it comes off, it looks great from a sort of distance. When you're getting closer, you can see that it's got a sort of funny texture to it, and they're very much like, you can see the lines. If you dragged it, I haven't got any nails, but if you drag your nail, they've got so they're made up of each line, it builds up, and it's not unlike, those pictures you used to get where you could hold them and tilt them and they'd look like they moved, and they were made of that horrible plastic. I think they're called striations. Well, it's made of that. Now, what I soon found out was, if you are to prime something straight off the printer, these lines become super evident. You can see them really very, very badly, and it does not look good. Take my word on that, it does not look good. So it's not a problem. You think you would sand it back. Okay, so I've left a little bit on here so I can just demonstrate. We've got a bit of cleanup left to do on that. There. I'll show you how well this sands. So this sander, let me bring you down here now. This sander has absolutely no place on a modeling bench. It looks like it's made with pebbles. This is a DIY sander for taking non-drip gloss off doors, right? So I would be mad to try and sand plastic with this. So let's take a bit where I can. It just does not touch it. It's removed a little bit, yeah, but that should literally tear that to shreds. And I quickly discovered that 3D prints, PLA in particular, the plastic PLA, is super difficult to sand. So I started to look into it, and yes, there's a stuff you can buy called XTC 3D. And it's basically a two-part resin, a two-pack filler, and you mix it up and you brush it on and you let it set, and then you come back and you can sand that. The problem with that is one of those little bottles is $27.95, and it's not even a litre bottle. I think it might be about 500 mils. I haven't got one, so I can't comment on that. So we're going to do something different. Now, I know this works, so this is not something I'm trying for the first time. So first things first, we've got to remove this debris on here. Now, sometimes you can do it by hand. Other times you might need a knife just to break it off. Please be careful, because basically this stuff here should just break away, but sometimes the melt is a little bit stronger than it should be. You can see that it will break off and leave the surface undamaged underneath. So I can't remember, what did I use yesterday? Ah yes, an old pair of, a budget pair of Zurons, meaning they're not really Zurons. And just basically, this really is tough stuff. You're not gonna, you can cut into it, you could damage it that way, but just by doing what I'm doing, just try and grip and snip bits off that need cleaning up here and there. That's it, that's all you can do really, just keep going like that. It is tough as old boots, this. But trust me, when you put the effort in with it, it looks spectacular when it's finished. It is worth the effort as well. I've got one, I wish I could show you it, but I can't at the moment. Just keep cutting away, cutting away. Got a little bit of damage down the bottom end here, but that's nothing I can do about that. It'll all come out in the wash, as they say. Don't worry, the cracking is not the actual plastic cracking, it's just the bits that are supposed to break off. Right, get as much as you can off. If you get some particularly difficult pieces, then you want to break out your choice of rotary tool, power tool, and start that. Be careful because it does melt at quite a low speed, so you really need to be careful when using that. Let me just see what I've got in there. I'm just going to, that's the wrong one in there. Yeah, that's not the right one. Okay. Let me just, I just need to see which one I've got there. Thank you for the day. I think that might be it. Now this is a rechargeable unit, so I can adjust the power on it, and rechargeable units do not, they have a much lower end speed than, that's not the right one either, than the mains one. Mains ones normally run too hot. Is that it? Whether that's it or that's it. That will go on. Drop that in there. Pop that on. Drop that in, and this will help. This one will help get rid of the little bits, hopefully. You can pretty much use whichever tool you want now. There we go. Right, just this one's probably a bit worse than I've expected. Not because of the curves on it, the access to the areas is more difficult than it is on some of the other ones I've done that have had sort of straight edges. But it's okay, it's not a problem. It just means this video will be a little bit longer than in case anyone was wondering, this is Batman's cape. Right. There we go. There we go, got a big bit on the back there. Be careful you don't break your knife. And it's probably a good idea to wear safety glasses while you're doing this, because plastic does tend to fly around a lot. Right, I think we're good to the next step. I think that will, we've got a little bit up there. A little bit on there. Excellent. Ironically, the inside of the cape, the side you're not really going to see, is spotless. So there we go. That's cleaned up now, but we've still got the problem of the striations. So this is when we bring in our friend plastic putty, perfect plastic putty, and basically all we're going to do now, it's a bit messy, but you'll need some water. And start applying this onto the cloak with your finger. Or whatever it is you are creating. You want good coverage. You don't have to absolutely cover every single piece, every single area, but just make sure you get enough over the areas where where it's rough. Because this is what will make your 3D project smooth, and your 3D project could pass and or fail on the basis of how you apply this. And then you add some water. Just dip your finger in some water, not too much, but just enough to get it flowing and smooth into all the recesses. You will go through a lot of this 3D printing, this plastic putty. I am looking at different ways of doing it. I've got some squadron green that I'm going to try. But at the moment, this is easily the best one out of the lot, without a shadow of a doubt. And then we've got a broken end there where it's not quite sealed properly. So when we do that bit there, leave quite a chunk on there, and we want to make sure that that gets filled in. There we go. Although I've got quite a bit on there, it's still very rough. So I'm going to put a bit more on. if you put too much water on, just go back over with some more putty. What you can use after this, once this is settled and gone hard, and then you come back and you start sanding it down, you can then go over with Mr. Surfacer 500. I only use 500 because it's much thicker, and you can paint that on all over everywhere. If you've still got issues with it showing through, you can use that. These are going to be a bit awkward to do at the bottom. These don't know what they're called, the end of the cape. Although it's not too much of a problem because it would be tatty, I guess, at the end where it drags on the floor and that. So like I say, what you're looking for when you're finished, it doesn't have to be completely, you know, so you can't see any of the plastic through it. Just as long as you've got the majority covered, so that once you go over with the sander, there will be, it will come off smooth. I'll give you a quick, I'll show you one that I've just done in a minute. And I will, of course, show this one when it has been sanded so you can get an idea. There we go, and I just want to smooth this down now, because the smoother it is when it dries, the easier it's going to be to sand. There we go. All right. I'm just going to do the other side now. I might try the Squadron Green on the other side just to see how we get on with it. The benefit of Squadron Green is that it can be wet sanded. So let me just pop that on there. So we leave that to dry now overnight, at least 24 hours. So let's move that out of the way for a minute. I've got nowhere to put it. Let's just pop it there for a minute. So here's one that I've been working on, and you can see I've been over. That's smooth now. So you can see there's nice and smooth, and I now, where I've still got a little bit of trouble there, of course, but I can go over this now. Let's see, Mr. Surface of 500. Just let that dry, and then that will be perfect and ready for painting. It's very messy. So let's where's the Mr. Squadron? Let's have a look, see what that I think I had it in one of these drawers. There we are. I don't know whether this has gone off. So basically I'm going to look at putting this on the other side. I don't know whether it'll go on the same. We'll have a look. Oh yeah, it does. I don't know, can you add water to this? Let me see. No. So I'm guessing you've got to add, you can either not to water it down, which makes it less useful than we just put it on. Not too concerned about this area here because it's not going to be seen. So I'm not going to actually do that area. And to be honest, this bottom area is not going to get much viewing either. So I can get away with putting this on fairly thin. I'm just going to be interesting to see how well this works, you know, instead of the plastic putty. Does it work better than the plastic putty or not? It actually goes, although you can't use water, it does slide on okay with your finger. And I think you get a bit more coverage with it. Dog's going to start barking. I apologise. I'm nearly finished. Oops. No, you can't use that again. It's dropped in a load of Right. Just this bit left up here. I don't really. I don't think you use as much with this. Right. It dries quicker than plastic putty. I know that for certain. Let's get rid of that little bit off the bottom, the cap top. Now I could have used a spatula, but to be honest, I just don't think I've got a green finger now. I don't think I would have been able to get it in as well as. So as you can see, it's very messy. So there we go. We've done both sides. We'll leave that now overnight. See, this is still wet. Granted, I did use water with this, but even over here, it's still wet. This has actually dried in places. So we will get that sanded tomorrow, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's finished. And then we can start getting some paint on it. So that's what you need to do once you've printed your piece off. All right, David. Sorry to hear about your accident. That was a real bummer, and you having to sell all your stuff. That's really bad. I really feel for you, mate. Damn, it's brutal. So anyway, yeah, I've just done a how-to on what to do with your 3D prints. Once you've printed them, you then go on to cover them with this. I've used plastic putty on one side and squadron green on the other, just to see how they go, and then they'll be sanded down because straight off the damn $7,200. Don't know what to say. That's you still got kits you're selling. Have you tried setting up like a GoFundMe page or something? For anyone that watches this afterwards, I mean, we've only got 8 people in, but David is a huge community member over in the States in the car building realm. And he does a lot for the community. And Holly. And yeah, so he's selling some. He was selling some bits off to make some money up. So go and give his channel. Go and have a look. You never know, you might pick yourself up something really nice. He's got some nice stuff that he's having to sell, and it's a shame. It really is. You'll have to click on his picture to go to his channel. Right. Yeah. So Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that because I've got to get cleaned up now. And then be back tomorrow. We'll sand this down and we'll start adding some paint. I've got a few how-to videos coming up. I've got one showing how to pin parts together, because obviously with these PLA, glue's a bit of an issue, so most of the limbs and that have to be pinned on, and then I use a 2-part epoxy to glue them together, and I'll go through all that as well, and yeah, we'll have some fun with it, and I'll tell you about some items that I may be selling. I may be some of these figures, I may be making some and selling them, but not like en masse. But I've had a few people show interest in what I'm building, and yeah, see you, David, and yeah, I've had to think about it. I'm not entirely sure yet. I'm going to wait and see. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Don't forget, it's the live stream tomorrow, 7:30 chat, 8 o'clock start, over on SprueSurgery Waiting Room, and I'll see you all then. Bye for now.